And thank you, Chairman Roy, and thanks to our witnesses for joining us today. Our Republican colleagues have convened this hearing to discuss a constitutional change to solve a problem that they have created legislatively, which is gigantic runaway federal budget deficits. We don't need a constitutional amendment to legislatively balance the budget. We just need some old-fashioned fiscal discipline. In the 1990s, President Clinton worked with a Republican-controlled Congress to eliminate the deficit, and they ran huge surpluses without the aid of a contrived balanced budget constitutional amendment or even rhetoric about a balanced budget amendment. They just did it. Why can't Republicans who control the House of Representatives, the U.S. Senate, and the White House do the exact same thing today with control of every part of the government? If they want to balance the budget, just do it. They could just take action on their own to make the hard decisions. But instead they say, no, the real problem is we need to go out and get 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate and 3/4 of the states to do it, instead of just passing it by a majority in the House, in the Senate, in the White House. Obviously, they lack the political will or the fiscal discipline to do it. And they think that maybe they can distract everybody now with this extremely stale and tired rhetoric about passing a constitutional amendment. We can't even get reporters to come and cover this charade anymore. They're practicing spectacular fiscal irresponsibility and budget recklessness, and then try to cover it up with the pathetic papier-mâché of a balanced budget amendment. The problem of ballooning deficits returns whenever Republicans enjoy complete control of the political branches. This is one of the great ironies of our political rhetoric. When they are in control, the budget deficits soar, and it's the Democrats who always bring the deficits down. But they pass giant giveaways for wealthy corporations and billionaires. It was the policies of President George W. Bush and a GOP Congress that squandered the record budget surpluses of the Clinton years in the 1990s on tax cuts for the wealthy, even as the country was waging the staggeringly expensive no-end wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. In 2017, President Trump and a Republican Congress passed his so-called Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, a law that increased the federal deficit by $1.9 trillion. This year, they passed the obscenely ugly profligate law, which will add a jaw-dropping $4 trillion to the national debt because of its giveaways for corporations with political insider influence and billionaires, at the same time that they're stripping health insurance and food assistance from tens of millions of Americans to offset just a small part of the enormous cost of the tax breaks that they cut for wealthy elites. So we don't need to start finger painting on the Constitution to accomplish what our colleagues in the majority simply don't have the political discipline and will to do. If you want a balanced budget, present a balanced budget and pass it. And after voting for the most reckless recent increase in federal spending, it's just, to me, way too little, way too late to have one more hearing on the idea of a balanced budget constitutional amendment. Something, by the way, which I think no other country in the world, or maybe it's a handful, but the vast majority of the countries in the world don't need this in order to run their fiscal systems. I yield back to you, Mr. Chairman.